people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, we'll start with this. A prevalent industry rumor going on behind the scenes away from prying eyes. Erica Cruz has tested positive for a banned substance for the second time. That's the word around the campfire, and she is officially out of the running for the Serrano fight early next year. Amanda will be fighting someone else. Who? I'm not sure yet, and I don't know if this story will break by the time that this video is uploaded, but I've been privy to this information for at least 2 to 3 days now. I've tried to keep a lid on it, but as time passes, the story is gaining traction and becoming more prevalent. Erica's initial incidence of testing positive for a banned substance was in the summer of last year. That was the first time. This will mark the second, and one can only make the inference that after 2 failed tests, this is not by accident, this is by design, this is deliberate, and Erica is just another dirty boxer among a lot of dirty boxers who's just costed herself a major opportunity that she didn't even earn. Amanda was just being nice, giving her this opportunity. I mean, that's what it was. The chance to box on a major platform for good money, better money than Erica makes on her own, and she screwed that up. Now, industry rumors suggest that Erica Cruz, like a lot of Mexican fighters in this situation, is pointing to contaminated meat as the culprit, which would have serviced as a viable explanation if not for Erica already testing positive for a banned substance over a year ago. Over a year later, when the same thing happens, nobody believes that shit, and people are downright tired of this built-in excuse we see a lot of Mexican fighters use when they get caught in the act. Whether it's Ray Vargas or Luis Neri. The substance Erica is said to have tested positive for is clenbuterol, the same one that Canelo tested positive for, and Luis Neri, I believe, and Ray Vargas. And it's always the same explanation. The contaminated meat did it. The contaminated meat ate my homework. I couldn't pay the cell phone bill on time because of the contaminated meat. I was stuck in traffic because of the contaminated meat. It's all so tedious, so tiresome, and predictable. But as stated, Erica is officially out of the running. And who Amanda will fight now? I don't know, but I do think that there are plenty of alternatives around, because the occasion in and of itself was not centered around the opponent. It wasn't about Erica Cruz, it was about Amanda having a homecoming fight. So Amanda can go in there with a ham sandwich and elicit the same reaction. Amanda is the star of the show. She's the attraction. One reasonable shout, if they haven't selected an opponent already, would have to be former champion Nazarena Romero. I think on short notice, that would be a good opponent because she's a pressure fighter, like Erica Cruz is a pressure fighter, just with the opposite hand. Nazarena is an orthodox fighter, whereas Erica is a southpaw. Erica Cruz actually fought Nazarena Romero before, quote-unquote beat her before, just on the sauce. Nazarena Romero was supposed to be boxing on the undercard of Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis in a rematch against Mayerlin Rivas, and when Gervonta dropped out of that fight, apparently, so did Nazarena, so did Mayerlin. I don't know what happened to the fight between them because it didn't get rescheduled for this weekend. So that means that Nazarena is free right now, and she might be able to stand in for Erica Cruz. With the camp having already ensued for what was supposed to be the Rivas fight, what could now be the Serrano fight for more money than she would have made for the Rivas fight. So if the fight is offered to her, I think she would accept, and as stated, stylistically, she is a good stand-in for Erica Cruz. She's a pressure fighter, so is Erica. Amanda wanted a live body, a live one, to put on a show for those Puerto Rican fans. And I think that Nazarena Romero could help her do that. But don't get married to the idea that it's gonna be Nazarena. That's just me bouncing ideas around. I don't know who Amanda's gonna fight. In any event, I look forward to seeing her fight January 3rd. I'm sure that MVP and Amanda's team will put something together before the fight date gets here. And I don't know if the story will break by the time that this news is uploaded, but I told you last night on the live, and I said it on Twitter yesterday, Erica is out of the running. She won't be fighting.
I respect Max, but when Max was trying to say boxing needs to be like NBA, NFL, UFC, he got booed at that press conference at Canelo Crawford where I went at Dana about the Ali Act, right? It's because part of boxing's cockamamie bullshit, Wild West bullshit, is its charm. It's a different vibe than those three-letter conglomerates. And that's what TKO is, a three-letter conglomerate. And they will be successful if they have their way, okay? They will. They will bring some well-oiled machinery to the sport of boxing that is desperately lacking that and does need some of it, no doubt. But they'll lose part of the heart and soul of the sport, in my opinion, right? So what I'm proposing, because you see the Italian colors here, right? All right. Now I don't want organized crime going on, but is the 5 families, or in this case, I guess the 4 families. Okay, you need a commission. You need a commission of the 4 families, all right? And you need to mix and match and do business with each other to form this union. And just like join or die, you could still be separate, but form this union of American boxing under Jeff Bezos' Amazon Prime, okay? PBC could still have their own shows. Top Rank could still have their own shows, Matchroom and Golden Boy, to build their young talent. Because that's one... So you still need to build your own talent, feed them some easy fights on the way up, development fights before they're ready to just be thrown in championship level fights. But what Amazon would need is quality control. They would need someone to oversee that, to make sure that, hey, you want these budgets, you want these paydays, you're going to have to put on the right kind of fights and mix and match between each other. And we could have what everybody's been asking. The reason why we're in this predicament is these guys wouldn't do it on a consistent basis. The 12th hour is here. You're all going to get muscled out. You have to be honest with yourselves. You can't compete against this machine called TKO Paramount, okay? Unless you join forces under Amazon Prime. That's my pitch. That's what I genuinely believe, okay?
Well, why does it have to be Amazon Prime, Sean? Is it because your buddies at the PBC are already over there? I hate to break the news to you, but this Kumbaya scenario relies on much more of a commitment, much more of an investment from Amazon into boxing than we've seen in the last year going on 2 years. Amazon has endeavored into the world of boxing via the PBC as of early last year. And they are not giving the PBC in terms of a budget what Fox was giving them and what Showtime was giving them 2 years into that deal. And now you're expecting that same Amazon to house Top Rank, to house Golden Boy and Matchroom? Get real, Sean. I think that Sean Zittell means well with this solution, but it's no solution at all. It's tantamount to a pipe dream, a fairy tale, where all of these outfits sort of join forces, like Voltron, like the Avengers did in the Endgame, to rally against the evil TKO and Paramount. Give me a break.
Sure.
Quit the crusade, Sean. Stop acting like you're saving anything by rallying against TKO. That might be the difference that boxing needs at this point. You're rallying against TKO, but in favor of what? The same flawed infrastructure and dubious business practices that drove all the networks away?
Well, you want to come up with solutions now? You're a day late and $1 short, buddy.
And you're fighting for the wrong people. You're so fucking worried about what fighters are going to be exploited by TKO when it's been the fighters exploiting the networks that provided us with boxing, provided us with that in the first place.
It's the networks that have been exploited, and that's why now it's the networks that have gone lukewarm, some instances completely cold, on boxing. They don't want to invest. What money they put in, they don't get back. All they get is a bunch of prima donna fighters that don't want to do any fucking thing unless you pay them an arm and a leg, unless you pay them above market value, which makes no sense. So when NBC and Fox and Showtime when they all leave.
There are people in this industry, in the boxing content space, that saw this coming years in advance. Myself, Cali X.
The way that the people in boxing do business, the ones in America, the ones that Sean Zittell mentioned, how long have I been telling you that's not sustainable? And they were just blissfully ignorant to everything I was saying, calling me every name but Adam for suggesting that Al Heyman is not the genius that he's made out to be, and this is gonna crash and burn.
This division within the industry is not sustainable for anyone because no matter what, it's the same sport, and no matter what, you're catering to the same audience. So if you don't give them what they want often enough, they're gonna stop watching.
And when they stop watching, the networks are gonna notice, and they're gonna stop investing.
When you inundate the market with pay-per-view after pay-per-view for what are blue-collar workers, boxing is a poor man's sport. When you inundate the market with box office fights for no other reason than to satisfy the demands of greedy fighters and their greedy managers, because that's what they are, instead of meeting an actual demand, a grassroots demand, you're the one that crashes the plane. You're the one that flew it into the side of a mountain. You can't salvage it now, worrying about TKO?
All these fucking networks didn't bail on boxing because of TKO. TKO hasn't even launched yet. TKO is the least of boxing's problems, yet the way you're having a go at them, I'm left wondering, well, what are you fighting for, Sean? What are you advocating for? The same system that led us here in the first place? And your solution is for everybody to be housed under Amazon.
That's a fucking dream.
That shit ain't gonna work. And it's not because Amazon doesn't have the money. They have more than enough money to make a sizable investment in the sport of boxing. If they wanted to, they could house upwards of 2 to 3 promotional outfits on their platform all on their own. The problem is, they have to want to. And 2 years into their deal with the PBC, does it look like they're investing more?
No.
Does it look like they're committed?
Don't talk to me about boxing's cockamamie charm, because that charm wore off a long time ago, like so many jokes and Uncle tells at a cookout.
It was funny the first 100 times.
It was charming, but not anymore. Boxing's charm has wore off, and there's too many greedy people in it. Too many boxers that don't really want to be boxers more than they want to be business guys. Too many managers trying to squeeze blood out of a grape, and too many rising costs.
Let's come back to the center for a second.
The reason I think that Sean's plan is a silly plan is because it relies on so many moving parts that have no semblance of making the commitment required to exact this plan. A commitment from Amazon, what would have to be a big one if you're housing upwards of 3 and 4 promotional outfits, but not just them. A commitment from those outfits to work together where they seem happy to stand apart.
They only work together when it's convenient, when it's comfortable.
Though I don't know that any of them want to be next door neighbors. I don't know that Top Rank wants to be so close to their competitors. The PBC has no history of wanting to do that. Their history is the exact opposite.
Golden Boy's a fucking shit show. Oscar's head is a bag of cats. Who knows what that guy's thinking?
And Matchroom doesn't actually need a partnership with any of these people because they're actually doing well all on their own.
Enough that they could probably starve them out.
Now, addressing this so obvious bias against TKO and what they're trying to do within the American boxing space, I think that Sean Zittell, like a lot of people, is making a mountain out of a molehill, exaggerating what they'll be able to do. Not but 2 or 3 days ago, there was an image of Dana White and Nick Khan in attendance at a USA Boxing tournament.
Looks like they were scouting the next wave of amateurs and fighters they might be interested in signing to TKO. Otherwise, why would they have been there?
Now, one hang-up that a lot of people have when it comes to Dana White is the pay structure at the UFC. They're afraid that he's going to bring that to boxing.
Exploit the boxers.
Because at the UFC, other arms of revenue go to the UFC brand and not the individual fighter. But coincidentally, that's what has made the UFC brand sustainable over the years, that those arms of revenue go to them. So maybe boxing needs a little bit of that. Maybe boxing needs less wannabe superstars and more structure, more stability, because I reiterate, if Sean is advocating for anything, it's the same broken system that chased all the networks away. If Dana White is now coming into it with an alternative, I'd like to see how that alternative plays out.
Doesn't even mean it's gonna work. This could all turn out to be an expensive vanity project, even with the Saudis' money, and Paramount, and WWE. All of it still relies on the patronage of the consumer. It still relies on me and you to watch it. And I don't know that people are going to.
I think it's all being grossly overstated, over-exaggerated. I think a lot of people in the boxing industry are in panic mode due to their own guilty conscience, because they've known for years the way people do business in boxing has never been sustainable, whereas Dana White has a more structured approach to doing business, and they don't want structure. They want chaos.
They want for some $5 fighter to ask for the moon and the stars to fight a live body. They want that dumb shit.
Now let's try to come back to the center, because it's already understood that Zuffa Boxing is going to be working with a certain tier and a certain ilk of fighter. You're not talking about fighters like Shakur and Devin and Ryan.
Kind of fighters that make that kind of money, the kind of money they make, Zuffa's not going to be housing those kinds of fighters. And because they're not, it's a gift and a curse. On one end, it allows you to control the spending, not having to work with so many prima donnas. But on the other end, if you can only really attract B and C tier fighters to your stable, you're only going to get so far with that.
Familiarity is a big thing in the sport of boxing. This isn't like developing MMA guys in the UFC. No, familiarity is a key component in boxing, to where if the audience doesn't know who the fuck those guys are, they're not going to watch them.
They'll lose interest real fast. Why do you think Americans don't care about overseas boxing, British boxing, Aussie boxing, boxing in Asia? The American audience, and America is where Zuffa will operate out of, is highly xenophobic.
So I would not overstate how much of this sport they can take over, if they can take any bit of it over. We haven't seen what they can do yet. I'm not underestimating them or rooting for them to fail, but I already see some major obstacles for Zuffa within the boxing space that are not easily overcome.
My perspective on Zuffa is Zuffa offers an alternative to the existing model, an intriguing alternative, and I want to see what they can do. But I reiterate, that doesn't mean it's going to work. Even with all that money behind them, this might turn out to be the contender, but on steroids. Pro box on steroids.
So when I see Sean Zittell forecasting all this doom and gloom, it's tantamount to fear-mongering in favor of a model that we already know doesn't work.
Hasn't worked. That's why all the fucking networks are gone, Sean.
So instead of vilifying Dana White and TKO before you've even had a look at what they can do, give them a chance. It's just an alternative after all.